any party place may be able to get access to the subvention. That's the only basis, sir, upon which any monies from this parliament goes to any parliamentary party. So therefore, if he is interested in democracy, sir, and all of the talk that he put down here earlier, sir, then resign his seat, let the Honourable Prime Minister call a by-election, and let the people of St. Michael West, sir, determine whether or not Barbados Labour Party or any other party for that matter will have access to the money. But the truth is, sir, this has been a financial debate. I know, I didn't vote for you, that's the thing that got me. That's the thing. But the reality is, sir, when you're under pressure, you start to lose some perspective of what it is the government has been trying to achieve. And the truth is, sir,
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. This nonsense that we hear emanating out of the lips of the...
Just tell me the point of order. Just refer to the point of order, Honourable Member.
This nonsense which is emanating from the lips of the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central.
Honourable Member,
I rise on a point of order with reference
to... But you
to...
can't use that language. You cannot
I rise on a point of order with reference to that which the Honourable Member for Christchurch East Central just said.
Are you listening?
Quite clearly.
You have to withdraw. You cannot use the language, this nonsense, sir.
The remark is withdrawn long ago, Mr. Speaker. I've gone past that.
Right.
That which escapes the lips of this honourable member from Christchurch East Central misrepresents me in a serious way. I do not know what a debate on CBC has to do with resigning seat in St. Michael West and coming back in here. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member speaks as though were I to face the electorate in St. Michael West tomorrow, I would not win. Mr. Speaker,
but that's the point of order. That's the point. I do not. Honourable member, with great respect, it is not a point of order. Honourable member, it is not a point of order.
Mr. Speaker,
it is not a point of order. I have ruled. It is not a point of order. I have so ruled.
Well, you rule. Go ahead.
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, sometimes, sir, a little inexperience is good. Because in the manner of democracy, sir, and I will repeat the point, because the honourable member went down a road to suggest that the government of Barbados, duly elected 2 years ago, was somehow using our parliamentary majority to deny or to introduce undemocratic practices in this country. Now, sir, I simply reiterate, the honourable member keeps bringing up reference to the parliamentary subscription as it relates to political parties. And the principle is clear, sir. If you face the electorate on behalf of a political party and you're elected to this chamber, then you have access to the subvention. So my solution...
But
sir?
Would you kindly move on, sir? Would you kindly...
Okay. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable, you kindly move on. I think the debate has... Honourable, please have a seat. Please have a seat. Honourable Christchurch East Central, we have the debate has gone past that. This is dealing with a resolution relative to the CBC. You're wrapping up that. Please stick to that, to the issue relative to the resolution. Please do not. You're moving off. You're veering off right, left, and you're not sending. Please stick to the wrap up relative to this resolution and nothing else. Nothing else.
Okay, sir. I take your words of advice and guidance, sir. The honourable member, however, raised some issues relating to the Auditor General's report, and I wish to indicate that based on what I have read here, sir, from the perspective of paragraph 5.54 of the Auditor General's report, obviously, in the context of where auditors are changed, then clearly one auditor can't certify something that other work that people would have done. So in that context, clearly, as would be the case satisfactorily, sometimes we have a situation where obviously the information that would have been used perhaps is not necessarily as available to the auditors as things have changed, and therefore that is perhaps part of the reason why the disclaimer of opinion obviously is there. That does not mean, sir, that anything untoward necessarily has
Point of order,
happened.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
The Honorable Member of Christchurch East Central knows better because he understands these things. And if you read the Auditor General's report, that is clearly not the case. It may be the case to the $700,000 not properly accounted for in 2018 because there was a change of auditors. It is not the case with respect to 2019, where $2.8 million listed as accounts receivable cannot be verified. That is totally misleading. The Honorable Member knows better because he can read these things. These are figures and understand.
If the honourable member would allow me to finish the point.
continue, honorable member.
Right, sir. Now, as it relates to the
Come with that.
accounts receivable, sir, as we all know, as has been the case with respect to a number of state-owned enterprises, we have gone through a very deliberate process, sir, to ensure let me just take the time, sir, to explain where the total government perspective has been. As we have come to government, sir, and recognize that a lot of people were owed by government, sir, and this is not making any excuse for CBC or any other state-owned enterprise. We have had, sir, to verify meticulously, invoice by invoice, to ensure that the process through which we determine whether we owed you, sir, money, or which entity owed you money, that there was a clear case with respect to being able to validate and verify that. And so therefore, on the part of the receivables, I am not surprised in the terms of the verification or the inability to verify, because across government, if you've been reading the Auditor General's report for a number of years, the systems within government have not been as strongly supported by way of record keeping all the time. And therefore, these things happen to be in the process, though, of ensuring that we can account for what has been paid and what is to be received, because we are now in the process of ensuring that our payment system, nationally, sir, that when people pay something, that it is recorded in real time. And very often, sir, as we have seen instances in the past, and then, as I said, this is not only related to CBC. We've had instances where sometimes people are paid twice because for the same set of invoices. We've seen instances of that, and they've had to be recalled. And therefore, we've gone through a very deliberate process to ensure that in this overall framework with respect to settlement of arrears, and certainly with respect to being to account for what is owed to government, that there's a very meticulous process to be gone through. So this is whilst the audit may say that yes, the auditors were not able to verify, the reality is that that requires us now to ensure that all of the financial systems in government, they talk to one another so that we can actually have a real picture with respect to receivables, such that we know what is the financing gaps for any financial institution. And so the honourable member, yes, clearly I understand the difference between the two, but you have to understand the context in which you're operating in. And let me remind the honourable member as well that since we have come to office, we have put in place a much more rigid regime with respect to being able to account by the end of every month with respect to all of these state-owned enterprises as with respect to their management accounts. And it means now that going forward, we should be in a better position to be able to ensure that by the end of the year, when the audits are completed, that it will be as seamless as possible, because the systems have been put in place to ensure that from month to month to month, that the various validation exercises will be completed. Now, I would love this to happen in 2 years so that everything is up and running, so that the government will have access to clean information, clean data, so that we can make decisions. But we are pushing as fast as we can with respect to being able to deal with these matters. It means having a comprehensive training program for all of the financial and accounting staff across government, both central government as well as state, across the state-owned enterprises, to ensure that issues like these don't continue to be reported in the Auditor General's report, like how we've seen in the past. And certainly myself and the Prime Minister, we've given the commitment that we're going to put the support within the context of enhancing and boosting the training for all of the accounting and financial staff across government to ensure that these matters are put to bed. But it really does take, sir, a lot of effort with respect to ensuring that all of the systems and the record keeping, that all of that is in place. So, sir, this resolution, as the Prime Minister said, will allow for us to be able to put the CBC on a different path. The rest of the reforms in terms of how they operate will have to be gone through. As I said, I'm not a media expert. I don't know anything about media and the operations of it, but I know enough, sir, to know that the media landscape has evolved and is a very aggressive and competitive market. And therefore, if CBC is to evolve and stay relevant to the people of Barbados, then it has to reinvent itself. It has to become fit for purpose in the 21st century and move to a much more digital form of delivery of its services. Because at the end of the day, sir, the demographics, there's a strong demographic shift, and being able to monetize opportunities and to give access to ordinary Barbadians to the space. And as you know, sir, whilst that is the case now, and I know that with the advent of 5G and other technologies already on stream globally, it is going to be a significant task to be able to catch up quickly in whatever shape or form CBC may find itself in the future. But the reality is, sir, that this is what we have been able to do from a financial perspective. It is now up for the operational model and the actual internal reforms for CBC now to be able to move forward such that they can take advantage of this restructuring from a financial perspective of the financial position. And so, sir, that is my my contribution in terms of response to the honourable member into some of the queries that he posed. But I want to say, sir, that this is one of three specific facilities that would have been part of the negotiations, and those, sir, will come to this chamber at the appropriate time. With that, sir, I beg to move that this resolution be read the first time.
Beg the second
No
that,
pass.
sir.
Sorry, that the resolution do not pass. Sorry.
Beg the second that, sir.
The question is that the resolution do not pass. All those honorable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. This resolution stands passed.
Mr. Speaker, recommittal of government notices.
Honorable Leader, Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme Bill 2020.
Further recommittal, first readings of bills.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the first reading of the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme Bill 2020.
Beg the second that, sir.
The question is that the aforementioned bill be read a first time. All those honorable members, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Revert to government business.
Mr. Speaker, with that, we've come to the end of today's session. I beg to move that the House be adjourned until the 16th of June at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Beg the second that, sir.
Tuesday the 16th.
Beg the second.
Yeah, we did.
The question that this honorable chamber stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 16th day of June at 10 a.m. in the forenoon. All those honorable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Me think the ayes have it. This honorable chamber stands adjourned until the 16th day of June at 10 a.m. in the forenoon.